There are moments in life that separate everything into two sides, before and after. When the person you loved took their last breath, the entire structure of your world shifted. The air felt heavier. Time moved strangely. People continued living while you felt frozen in place, watching the world move without your permission. You woke up the next day to a world that looked the same but felt completely different. Their absence created an invisible emptiness that only your heart could see. The day they left this earth, something inside you broke in a way that had no language. You wondered how life could continue as usual. You thought to yourself that the sun should not have risen the next morning. The traffic should have stopped. The wind should have gone still. Something so important had changed forever, and yet everything around you acted as if nothing happened. But what no one could see is that while you were shattered in your world, something beautiful was unfolding in theirs. The moment their physical eyes closed, their spiritual eyes opened. The human body comes to an end, but the soul does not. The soul remembers where it came from long before the body was formed. The soul understands transition in a way the human mind cannot. The spirit recognizes peace in a way the world never teaches us. You feared that they were afraid in their last moments. You feared they were alone, confused, in pain, or calling out for someone who could not reach them in time. Your mind holds these questions like scars that cannot heal. But the moment their spirit separated from the physical body, they entered a peace that was more gentle and more comforting than anything they ever experienced here. There was no confusion. There was no fear. There was a release, a calm, a sensation like exhaling after holding your breath far too long. Their soul rose softly, as though the weight of the world finally lifted off their shoulders. And here is the part most people never know: they were not alone in that transition. Long before the heartbeat ended, long before their final breath left the body, the spiritual world was already preparing to receive them. There were presences with them that you could not see. Loved ones who passed before them. Ancestors you never met but who always watched from afar. Guidance, protection, recognition. What looks like loss from this side looks like returning on the other side. What looks like the ending here looks like a beginning there. The moment their soul crossed into the realm beyond this world, they did not experience darkness. They experienced clarity. They understood things that human minds cannot understand while living in a physical world. They saw their life not with judgment but with understanding. They saw you not through the lens of time but through the lens of love. Those questions that replay in your heart over and over again: did I spend enough time with them? Did they know how much I loved them? Could I have changed anything? Why wasn't I there? Why didn't I call? Why didn't I say certain things when I had the chance? The soul does not carry resentment for the mistakes of the living. The spirit sees purpose and intention more clearly than actions and timing. They understand the silence you kept when life was overwhelming. They understand the distance that wasn't caused by lack of love but by circumstances you didn't know how to escape. They understand the visits you didn't make because you were holding yourself together the only way you knew how. They understand all the love you meant but never said out loud. On this side, we remember the last day. On the other side, the soul remembers the entire story. The laughs shared across years. The times you stood by each other in ways that mattered more than words. The moments you didn't realize were meaningful because you thought you had time. You imagine them leaving in fear, but they found peace. You imagine them stepping into darkness, but they stepped into light. You imagine them drifting alone, but they were welcomed like someone coming home after a long journey. You imagine the end, but they experienced a beginning. Grief tells you that you lost them. Love reveals that they returned. When the soul leaves the body, it finally becomes free from pain, fear, limits, and worry. Everything that troubled them in their physical life no longer binds them. Their body may have stopped, but their existence did not. And even in that moment, as their soul entered peace, the connection to you did not break. A bond formed through love does not end at the grave. This is why you think of them at random times without reason. This is why a memory hits your heart softly or painfully. This is why dreams feel real. This is why you sense them in quiet moments or feel a sudden wave of emotion when no one else understands. Your connection to them did not disappear. It simply changed form. The moment they left Earth was not their goodbye to you. It was only a shift in how they remain connected. They no longer stand beside you in physical form, but they walk beside you in ways the human eye cannot see. Their story continues. And so does your connection with them. When someone we love leaves this world, we are left with 1,000 conversations still unspoken. The human heart does not grieve only because of death itself, but because of the words that never found their way into the world. We carry memories, but we also carry unfinished sentences, unsent messages, unanswered questions, apologies that never left our lips, and forgiveness we were still trying to navigate. There is a weight that builds inside the chest when something ends without proper closure. You think of the final moments, replaying them like a scene that refuses to fade. You remember the last conversation, not because it was extraordinary, but because you did not know it would be the last. You hold on to their laugh, their voice, the expression they wore when they talked about nothing important at all. You cling to ordinary moments because you did not know they were precious until they became memories. There are words you wish you had spoken with more urgency. You ask yourself why you waited. Why you hesitated. Why you silenced your emotions for later. Later has a way of disappearing before we realize it has arrived. Perhaps you wanted to say that you were hurt. Perhaps you wanted to say that you forgave them. Perhaps you wanted to say that you were proud. Perhaps you wanted to say that you finally understood. Or maybe you just wanted to say something simple. Do not go. I need more time. I love you. Sometimes grief is not shaped like pain. Sometimes grief is shaped like a sentence that never finished. You wonder if they left this world carrying their own unsaid words. Things they wanted you to know. Feelings they wished they could express. Regrets they wish they could rewrite. No human leaves this world with every conversation complete. Life rarely gives us endings wrapped in neat emotional closure. Sometimes love is real and deep and powerful, but human expression falls short of it. When people are alive, we expect more time. Time to fix things. Time to say things. Time to gather courage. Time to heal. Time to make everything right. The heart believes there will be a moment when everything aligns. Then suddenly there is no more time, and we are left holding the responsibility of what never happened. Here is the part that matters. Even though words were left unspoken, the energy behind those words remains alive. Love has a way of reaching deeper than language. Love communicates in ways that transcend sound, silence, distance, and even death. The soul understands what the mouth struggled to say. In the life you shared, there were arguments, misunderstandings, silence, confusion. These things exist not because love was missing, but because love was present. We fight hardest with the people our hearts are tied to. We protect ourselves most from the ones who matter. Sometimes we hold back emotions not because they are untrue, but because they are too powerful. There may be moments that haunt you. A conversation that ended abruptly. A message that went unanswered. A visit you postponed. A goodbye you were not able to give. A moment when you walked away to protect yourself or to protect them. A mistake you made and wish you could erase. You might carry guilt or regret because the story did not end the way you hoped. But the person who left this world sees the story differently now. The soul sees everything without the confusion of ego, fear, insecurity, pride, or pain. They see your intention, not just your action. They see your heart, not your silence. If you could hear them for a moment, they would tell you they know you cared. They know you tried. They know there were times words were trapped behind uncertainty, timing, or emotional walls that neither of you built on purpose. The love you did not say out loud still reached them. The care you did not express fully still touched them. The forgiveness you hoped for still holds value. The questions you never got to ask no longer hang without meaning. There are emotional conversations that humans are not able to complete on this side of life. But the connection between souls does not end when the body ends. In the quiet moments, when a memory surfaces, when you are overwhelmed with sudden emotion, when a familiar thought or phrase crosses your mind, there is something happening beneath the surface. The love that remains unspoken becomes part of the spiritual bond that continues beyond physical presence. Your unsaid words do not float lost in the universe. They remain connected to the heart of the one who departed. And just as your emotions reach toward them, their understanding reaches back toward you. The unsaid words you carry do not represent failure. They represent the depth of the connection you had. Grief is sometimes love refusing to be silent. Regret is sometimes a sign that the heart cared deeply. And longing is proof that the bond continues. The story between you and them is not defined by what was incomplete, but by what was real. The love that remained unsaid is still love. Life has a way of silencing people before their hearts are finished speaking. Some individuals carry emotions they never learned how to express. Some carry wounds they never found the courage to show. Others carry love they felt deeply but kept locked away because vulnerability felt dangerous or unfamiliar. Your loved one had things they wished they could say to you while they were alive. Not just words of goodbye, but words of clarity, words of truth, and words from a version of themselves that finally understood what mattered most only when the noise of the world fell away. When people are alive, fear often speaks louder than love. Their fear may have sounded like distance. It may have sounded like stubbornness or silence. It may have appeared as anger or withdrawal. Sometimes the strongest hearts show their strength by building walls they believe are protection, not realizing those walls hide not only pain but also affection. In the quiet moments of their life, when no one else was listening and they were alone with their thoughts, they carried memories of you. The good ones, the difficult ones, the ones that shaped them. They remembered your kindness. They remembered the times you showed up. They remembered your efforts even when you believed they went unnoticed or unappreciated. They remembered your laughter and how it brought warmth to moments that might otherwise have been forgettable. They remembered the support you offered without asking for anything in return. They also remembered the times things weren't perfect. They remembered disagreements, miscommunication, moments of emotional distance that neither of you could fully explain. But now, beyond the limits of the human experience, they see those moments differently. Not through frustration or disappointment but through understanding. If they could speak freely now, their heart would speak without filters. They would express what living emotions sometimes made difficult. They would say that the love you gave mattered. Even when you doubted yourself. Even when circumstances were complicated. Even when your relationship had layers that others could not understand. There were things they wished they could have explained to you. Why they made certain choices. Why they reacted in ways that confused or hurt you. Why they pushed people away when they wanted connection. Why they carried burdens they never let you help them hold. Sometimes people hide pain because they never learned how to share it. Sometimes people protect others from their inner chaos even if it means being misunderstood. Your loved one carried battles you may never know the full details of. Emotional wounds, past life experiences, fears that formed long before you entered their story. They were shaped by their upbringing, their insecurities, their hopes, and their disappointments. Some of the things they struggled to say had nothing to do with you, but everything to do with their own inner storms. If they could speak to you now, beyond the limits of time and language, they would say that they see you clearly. They see the effort you made. They see the love you held. They see the forgiveness you offered even when you never received an apology. They see the patience you put into the connection when patience was difficult. They would want you to know that the complicated parts of your story do not overshadow the value of the bond you shared. Human relationships were not created to be perfect. They were created to be meaningful. The threads of your connection were not defined by the mistakes or misunderstandings that happened along the way. They were defined by the care that existed even in silence. There is something powerful that happens when a soul transitions. The ego dissolves. Pride loses its grip. The walls that were built out of fear collapse. What remains is truth. What remains is clarity. What remains is love without resistance. From this place, your loved one understands their own feelings better than they ever could while they were alive. If they could speak without fear now, they would tell you that they wish they had expressed their gratitude more openly. They would tell you that your presence meant more to them than they knew how to say. They would tell you that the disagreements between you were small compared to the affection they carried. They would tell you that they admire your strength and the way you survived every chapter life threw at you. They would tell you that the moments you saw as ordinary were far more memorable to them than you realized. Most of all, they would tell you this. They did not leave this world holding anything against you. They crossed over with understanding. They crossed over with a heart healed from the misunderstandings that once created distance. They crossed over with appreciation for you and everything you were to their life. The message they could not say while living is simple yet profound. You mattered. You still matter. And their connection to you did not end. Their voice no longer speaks through sound, but it speaks through memory, through intuition, through unexpected emotions, through the quiet moments when you feel something that cannot be described in words. What they could not say then, they now hope you can feel. Every soul enters this world with a purpose, even if that purpose is never spoken, defined, or clearly understood while they are living. People often spend their entire lives trying to figure out who they are meant to be, what role they were meant to play, and why certain people come into their lives. You may not have realized it, but you were a part of their purpose. Your connection with them was not accidental. Whether your relationship was filled with closeness or distance, joy or difficulty, calm or chaos, your presence in their story mattered. Souls cross paths with intention far deeper than human reason can explain. Sometimes you are placed in someone's life to love them. Sometimes to challenge them. Sometimes to inspire them. Sometimes to wake something in their spirit that would have remained asleep without the impact you made. You may think of moments you regret, or choices you wish could be undone, but the truth is that every chapter contributed to the shaping of both of your lives. Even the complicated moments had meaning. The disagreements taught emotional depth. The conflicts revealed values. The joyful moments revealed peace. The losses revealed strength. The time you spent together, whether short or long, helped their soul grow, learn, and experience life in a way it wasn't experiencing before you. We often believe purpose is only found in achievement, success, or dramatic transformation. But some purposes unfold quietly. You may have been the friend who showed them loyalty they never received before. You may have been the family member who supported them when others let go. You may have been the person who challenged a behavior that needed to change. You may have been the one who offered forgiveness when others only offered judgment. You may have been the one safe place where they could exist without pretending. Sometimes your role is not to fix or rescue someone. Sometimes your role is simply to walk part of the journey with them. The heart often confuses purpose with permanence. Some people are not meant to stay forever. Some are meant to stay long enough to shape us and long enough for us to shape them. You were part of the world that taught them how to give love, how to receive love, and in some cases how to understand love even when it was not spoken perfectly. You helped them see themselves through a different lens. You showed them a version of life or compassion or patience or truth that became part of their inner world. And now, beyond the physical realm, they can see the impact you had with clarity. While living, people do not always realize the value of others in real time. Sometimes gratitude is delayed by distraction or pride or fear. But now they can see what you brought into their life with honesty, without emotional barriers or defensiveness. If they could express what they understand now, they would tell you that your presence changed something in them. They would tell you that the memories you created, whether fragile or powerful, helped shape their view of life. They would tell you that the lessons learned through you remain part of their soul's growth. They would tell you that they carried parts of you with them into the next chapter beyond this world. You may think that you could have done more, or that you should have done things differently. The human heart almost always feels this way after loss. But from their spiritual viewpoint, what you offered was enough. Your presence was enough. Your time was enough. Even your imperfections were part of the dynamic that helped both souls develop resilience, compassion, and emotional understanding. Some connections teach how to stay. Others teach how to let go. Some teach how to love without fear. Others teach how to love without attachment. Some teach how to forgive. Others teach why forgiveness matters. Some teach how to speak. Others teach the value of silence. You and your loved one taught these things to one another through the bond you shared. You were part of their purpose, just as they were part of yours. The impact continues even now because love does not leave when the physical body leaves. What was learned, felt, shared, endured, celebrated, and survived becomes part of the soul's eternal memory. There is a chapter of your life that carries their influence. There is a thought pattern, a belief, a habit, a strength, a moment of compassion, or a deepened emotional capacity that exists because of them. They left something behind in you just as you left something with them. Even though their physical journey ended, the purpose that connected you does not disappear. It simply evolves. Their chapter is written. Yours continues. But the significance of what existed between you remains part of both stories. Your connection did not end. It changed form. And the purpose continues to unfold in ways you may still discover as you move forward. Your life now holds a piece of the wisdom that came from knowing them. Archangel Michael allows you to feel something you usually ignore. The quiet aches, the unfinished sentences, the heavy silence that sits in the center of your heart. Your loved one leans forward in spirit, and their message is not filled with fear, not filled with judgment, and not filled with disappointment. It is filled with truth. And truth always carries warmth. Your loved one explains that humans were taught to speak with caution, to hold back affection so they won't seem overly emotional, to avoid apologies because it feels like surrender, to hide vulnerability because the world calls it weakness. From the other side, love is never weakness. Affection is not embarrassment. Apologies do not make you small, they make you free. There were words they wanted to say that got delayed by life. I'm proud of you. You were there for me in ways I never said. I should have told you sooner. I noticed the sacrifices you made, even the ones you think nobody saw. You could never disappoint me the way you feared you would. They regret not speaking those sentences louder, earlier, more often. They confess that many of the arguments weren't about what was truly being said. Sometimes frustration was just exhaustion. Sometimes anger was just fear. Sometimes distance was just unspoken longing. If I ever seemed frustrated, it wasn't with you, it was with my own limits. If I ever appeared distant, it wasn't rejection, it was confusion or pain I didn't know how to talk about. If I ever made you feel not enough, it was my flaw, not your worth. Archangel Michael reveals that they carry no resentment now. He shows the metaphor of a rope being untied, slow, patient, but gentle. Because in the spiritual world, nothing remains knotted. Your loved one learned that emotional honesty is the greatest spiritual currency. Not achievements, not status, not perfection. Expression. Connection. Presence. These are the real treasures. Speak love while love still has ears to hear. Show appreciation while hands are still able to hold. Laugh loudly without worrying who will judge the sound. Say, thank you, even for small things, because small things are usually the big things in disguise. They encourage you to forgive quicker, hug longer, listen without planning your reply, and look people in the eyes when you say the words that matter. Life does not ask your permission before it changes. They tell you to live sincere, not guarded. Say, I love you, without waiting for a special day. Say, I'm sorry, before time builds a wall. Say, I'm proud of you, even if your voice trembles. Say, I need help, because strength is honesty, not silence. Say, thank you, because people need to know they matter. Your loved one closes this message with a truth that feels like both a lesson and a blessing. The only words I wish I repeated more were the ones that healed, not the ones that hurt, the ones that connected us, not the ones that pushed us apart, the ones that left no regret when the page turned. They hand this message to you as a gift. To break the cycle. To soften your heart. To free your voice. To help you love like heaven is watching. Because it is. And then they say, with the softness of someone who finally understands everything. You were more loved than I ever communicated. More appreciated than I ever expressed. And more important to my journey than I ever said out loud. I know that now. And now, you know the truth. Archangel Michael reveals something profoundly important. The connection between you and your loved one did not end the day their physical body stopped breathing. The body ended. The bond didn't. Love is not attached to flesh, it is attached to soul. You think I left because the world could not see me anymore. But the truth is, I have been speaking, showing, guiding, and protecting you more now than ever. They have been sending signs, not once, not occasionally, but repeatedly. Some you noticed. Some you brushed off. Some you explained logically. Some you forgot. Some felt too strange to believe. Archangel Michael leans in and explains. You are not imagining the signs. You are recognizing them. The difference between coincidence and divine communication is simple. Coincidence is random. Divine signs repeat with purpose. Your loved one reveals the signs they've been using. You doubt it because the world taught you to trust only what you can touch. But the soul is touched differently, not by hands but by awareness. They show Archangel Michael the image of you dismissing signs. You were busy. Distracted. Hurting. Uncertain. Trying to appear strong. Trying to stay grounded so people wouldn't think you were crazy. Your loved one wants you to know. You're not crazy for sensing me, you're connected. They explain another truth. When someone crosses to the other side, the bond doesn't dissolve. It transforms. It becomes quieter but louder in meaning. Invisible but stronger in presence. Soft in sound but powerful in impact. They say they've been beside you in your hardest nights, the ones you told no one about. The night you felt alone even in a room full of people. The night you cried quietly so nobody would hear. The night you asked God, why does this hurt so much? Your loved one answers. It hurt because the love was real. But real love never dies, it only changes address. They want you to pay attention, not with your logic but with your intuition. When you're thinking of them deeply. When you're missing them intensely. Or when your mind is quiet enough for your soul to listen. Spirit communication is subtle because the soul speaks gently. It whispers, not because it lacks power. But because it respects your free will. If the signs were overwhelming, you wouldn't grow. You would rely. The signs are not meant to haunt you. They are meant to hold you. They are reminders. You are still guided. You are still supported. You are not walking blindly. You are not carrying this alone. Every time you felt something told you to slow down, to not go there, to not trust that situation. That was me. Every time you suddenly felt calm when you should have panicked. That was me. Every time you almost gave up but something sparked hope. That was me. They are not watching you from a distance. They are walking with you in a different dimension. The reason you feel their presence most in silence is because silence removes the world and reveals the soul. They finish this message with something that calms your spirit. Healing does not mean forgetting. Moving forward does not mean abandoning. You can carry memories without carrying pain. You can love me without losing yourself. They are not asking you to stop missing them. They are asking you to stop hurting alone. Archangel Michael stands tall and calm, wings wide enough to quiet the storm inside you. His presence is not loud, peace never needs volume to be powerful. He speaks through feeling, and in that moment, you sense a heaviness loosening in your chest. The weight you've been carrying for far too long. Your loved one steps forward with gentleness, almost afraid to stir the grieving layers of your heart. They carry no sorrow in their face now, only clarity. I never wanted my memory to become your burden. I never wanted the thought of me to make your body tense, your breath short, your nights long, or your joy feel guilty. They know the pain you've carried. When you smile and suddenly feel wrong for feeling happy. When you're laughing and a wave of sadness hits. When a good moment makes you think, you should be here. When life moves forward and you don't want to leave them behind. Your loved one says this with love that feels warm like sunlight, not sharp like loss. You're not leaving me behind by living. You're honoring me by continuing. Every step forward is not forgetting. It is proving that love helped build your strength. They want you to release the idea that peace means not caring anymore. Peace means you care without hurting, remember without collapsing, love without fear. They understand now that earth makes emotions heavy, complicated, tangled in expectations. But in their new state, without the ego, without fear, they see everything through love that is pure and wise. You don't heal by forgetting. You don't heal by closing off. You don't heal by pretending you're fine. You heal by letting yourself breathe again. Your loved one shows an image to Archangel Michael. It's you, holding a glass jar filled with sand, believing it's the most precious thing you own, protecting it with tight fists, afraid if you loosen your grip it will spill and disappear. But tightening your fist hurts your hand. It restricts your ability to hold anything else. And your loved one whispers. Open your hand, not to let go of me, but to let the pain transform. I am not the sand slipping away. I am the space that remains to be filled with peace. They want you to know. You are allowed to smile again. You are allowed to sleep peacefully. You are allowed to love again. You are allowed to build new memories. You are allowed to create new chapters. You are allowed to enjoy your life without guilt. Because the love they gave did not die, it simply evolved. Archangel Michael places a symbolic feather in your hand, light, soft, gentle, and says, peace is not forgetting, peace is remembering with grace. Your loved one adds, peace begins when you stop asking what if, and start saying thank you. Thank you for the time you did have. Thank you for the conversations and laughter. Thank you for the shared history. Thank you for the moments that shaped you. Thank you for surviving the pain. Thank you for still carrying love that never had a funeral. Your loved one wants you to transform the memory. Not a wound. Not a prison. Not a shadow. But a soft place the heart can rest without fear. They want you to carry them like a blessing, not a weight. Whenever guilt tries to take over and whispers, you shouldn't be happy. Answer it with the truth. Happiness does not erase love. Whenever sadness tells you, you're alone, reply, I am loved by those seen and unseen. Whenever fear says, you're moving on, respond, I'm moving forward, and I'm bringing love with me. Your loved one sends this final vibration of peace. You did enough. You tried enough. You loved enough. Release the pressure to rewrite the past. What mattered most wasn't perfect moments. It was connection. And that connection lives. They ask you to breathe deeply right now, not to forget, not to suppress, but to accept. You loved. They loved. And love is the only thing that survives change. The peace they offer is not goodbye. It is permission. Permission to live. Permission to hope. Permission to rebuild. Permission to feel joy without guilt. Permission to remember without breaking. Your story didn't end. It changed chapters. And they are still part of every chapter that follows. Archangel Michael stands tall and calm, wings wide enough to quiet the storm inside you. His presence is not loud, peace never needs volume to be powerful. He speaks through feeling, and in that moment, you sense a heaviness loosening in your chest. The weight you've been carrying for far too long. Your loved one steps forward with gentleness, almost afraid to stir the grieving layers of your heart. They carry no sorrow in their face now, only clarity. They know the pain you've carried. When you smile and suddenly feel wrong for feeling happy. When you're laughing and a wave of sadness hits. When a good moment makes you think, you should be here. When life moves forward and you don't want to leave them behind. Your loved one says this with love that feels warm like sunlight, not sharp like loss. You're not leaving me behind by living. You're honoring me by continuing. Every step forward is not forgetting. It is proving that love helped build your strength. They want you to release the idea that peace means not caring anymore. Peace means you care without hurting, remember without collapsing, love without fear. They understand now that earth makes emotions heavy, complicated, tangled in expectations. But in their new state, without the ego, without fear, they see everything through love that is pure and wise. You don't heal by forgetting. You don't heal by closing off. You don't heal by pretending you're fine. You heal by letting yourself breathe again. Your loved one shows an image to Archangel Michael. It's you, holding a glass jar filled with sand, believing it's the most precious thing you own, protecting it with tight fists, afraid if you loosen your grip it will spill and disappear. But tightening your fist hurts your hand. It restricts your ability to hold anything else. And your loved one whispers. Open your hand, not to let go of me, but to let the pain transform. I am not the sand slipping away. I am the space that remains to be filled with peace. They want you to know. You are allowed to smile again. You are allowed to sleep peacefully. You are allowed to love again. You are allowed to build new memories. You are allowed to create new chapters. You are allowed to enjoy your life without guilt. Because the love they gave did not die, it simply evolved. Archangel Michael places a symbolic feather in your hand, light, soft, gentle, and says, peace is not forgetting, peace is remembering with grace. Your loved one adds, peace begins when you stop asking what if, and start saying thank you. Thank you for the time you did have. Thank you for the conversations and laughter. Thank you for the shared history. Thank you for the moments that shaped you. Thank you for surviving the pain. Thank you for still carrying love that never had a funeral. Your loved one wants you to transform the memory. Not a wound. Not a prison. Not a shadow. But a soft place the heart can rest without fear. They want you to carry them like a blessing, not a weight. Whenever guilt tries to take over and whispers, you shouldn't be happy. Answer it with the truth. Happiness does not erase love. Whenever sadness tells you, you're alone. Your loved one sends this final vibration of peace. You did enough. You tried enough. You loved enough. Release the pressure to rewrite the past. What mattered most wasn't perfect moments. It was connection. And that connection lives. They ask you to breathe deeply right now, not to forget, not to suppress, but to accept. You loved. They loved. And love is the only thing that survives change. The peace they offer is not goodbye. It is permission. Permission to live. Permission to hope. Permission to rebuild. Permission to feel joy without guilt. Permission to remember without breaking. Your story didn't end. It changed chapters. And they are still part of every chapter that follows.